Senator, sometime Libertarian, and likely presidential candidate. Senator Paul, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning, Chuck. Glad to be here.
So on Tuesday, if you guys, the Republican Party, gets control of the Senate, the voters said they're voting for the Republican Party, or if the voters simply said they're voting against President Obama and it's not a mandate for the GOP. How should the GOP interpret winning control of the Senate if that does happen?
You know, I think it'll be a combination of both. This is going to be a repudiation of the president's policies. The president is on the ballot in a way. This is a referendum on the president, so no question this is a big message to the president. But also it's a message that people are tired of nothing getting done. The gridlock in Washington has largely been from the Democrats, who haven't allowed any legislation to come forward in the Senate. So I think if we win, you will see legislation passed, and you will see legislation sent to the desk of the president.
You know, a lot of Democrats would say House Republicans, you know, and Ted Cruz and some other people were responsible for the government shutdown, so that both parties take the blame here. But I want to ask you something about something you said the other day in Michigan. You said, remember Domino's Pizza? This is about the Republican brand. They admitted, hey, our pizza crust sucks. The Republican Party brand sucks, you said, and so people don't want to be a Republican, and for 80 years, African Americans have had nothing to do with Republicans. Why? Because of perception. The problem is the perception is that no one in the Republican Party cares. So you're admitting you have a brand problem. How do you fix the brand problem before 2016, if that's the case?
Well, I think you have to show up, and then you have to say something. So I've spent the last year showing up everywhere from Howard University to Berkeley to the Urban League to Ferguson to the NAACP. But showing up's not enough. We have to show that we have a policy. And you know what I'm sensing when I do show up in the African American community in our big cities? I'm sensing, and they say this to me time after time, we're being taken for granted. The Democrats don't show up, haven't seen my congressman lately. So I think there's a huge opportunity for us. And while not everybody says they're ready to become a Republican, many people say they're glad I'm there and they want us to compete for their vote.
But this distrust of the Republican Party and the African American community in some ways gets enhanced when Republicans go for voter ID laws, which a lot of people say is a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. You've been on both sides of this. You thought it was, you've said at one point the voter ID law drive was sort of overdone by Republicans, and then you walked it back. Which is it?
Well, it's kind of funny the way you describe it, because my position is pretty clear. I don't think there's a problem with showing your ID, but I do think there's a problem with Republicans saying, hey, our big issue for the campaign is going to be voter ID. Because what it creates is, and a lot of African Americans understandably remember the 40s and 50s in the South, and they remember suppression of the vote, and they equate that. So what I try to do is I say the opposite. I say I want more people to vote. I'm for enhancing vote, and I actually sponsor a bill with Harry Reid that would restore voting rights to people who had youthful, nonviolent crimes that have served their time. In my state, there are 250,000 people who can't vote because of an old conviction. I have a friend whose brother had a conviction 30 years ago and can't vote. So I want to restore votes. It doesn't mean that I think it's unreasonable. I just think it's a dumb idea for Republicans to emphasize this and say, oh, this is how we're going to win the elections. Early voting should be out there for everybody. I'm for early voting. I'm for more voting. But I'm saying let's go to the black community and compete for the vote. Let's talk about criminal justice and school choice and economic opportunity. There are ways we can get African American vote to come to the Republican Party.
Let's talk about a Republican agenda if you get control. Are Republicans going to send a repeal of health care, the repeal of the Affordable Care Act, to the president's desk or not? Mitch McConnell has said that was a priority, and then he has said, well, we don't have 60 votes, so it's not going to happen. Then he has said, well, maybe with 51 votes we can do it. There's been this. Are you lying to your base when you say you're going to try to repeal health care? Or, I mean, is it a serious effort, or is it just something to gin up base turnout?
No, I think we should repeal Obamacare, and I think what's made people most unhappy about it is they've lost their freedom of choice. It isn't about the wonky healthcare policy. It's about whether every American can choose their doctor or choose their insurance policy. When they've made it illegal through Obamacare for you to choose an inexpensive insurance policy, that should be overturned, and
so
we will definitely have a priority, and we will introduce it and try to pass it.
Very quickly, in 2016, do you delay the start of your presidential campaign because you think Republicans should try to have an agenda in the Senate for, say, 6 months?
Well, I've always said it's going to be spring till I make a decision anyway. My #1 priority for January will be There's $2 trillion of American profit overseas. I'm going to try to pass a bill to bring that home at a reduced rate, put the money into roads and bridges, and say, look, we've got some problems here at home. Let's rebuild America. Let's do some nation building of America first. And I think we can pass that. There's bipartisan support for it. Barbara Boxer supports it on the left. I support it on the right. The president, once upon a time, supported it. My number one priority will be to lower this tax to bring American profit and jobs home in January.
Rand Paul, Republican, the junior senator from Kentucky, but in many ways has played kingmaker on the campaign trail, I've noticed this year. Senator Paul, we'll be watching you on Tuesday. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Chuck.
Let's get quick reaction.